If you guys ever watched that critique I made, Nikki's in it a few times because like we were in my old college house and like my so if he ever sees this, I'm sorry. I had a roommate, loved him to death. He was super funny, but he would like my TV and speakers and everything were in the living room we had in the basement, and he would just like casually go in there and watch like all of the Twilight movies. So my Amazon Prime was filled with Twilight recommendations, and he would take it up like from before I was back from work all the way to like midnight. And so I was like, I can't even use my own TV at this point. Like,
I'm gonna tell him that he's in this.
yeah, like I loved him to death, but it was like kind of annoying. So I was like, you know what? For other reasons, and there were a bunch of things that stacked up. I was like, I'm just gonna move my TV back in. We also got a new roommate who was like very aggressive with our stuff that we shared. Like, did not understand you had to be like, it's an OLED TV. You can't leave it on. Like he would leave that on and just like get up and go take a shower and then come back a couple of hours later. I was like, you're going to ruin the TV.
The one whose girlfriend started fires.
Yeah, we did have a roommate. That's a whole other story. We could tell that. We did have a roommate that stayed right as COVID hit. She was visiting her boyfriend who lived with us, and she was visiting from China, and she had the worst food hygiene I've ever seen in my life. She would start regular fires on the stove, pots of oil, like oil she used to cook fish in. She would leave that on the counter. One time she got a huge fish that was like 2 feet long and fat, and she would just keep that she would just keep the fish raw on the counter for like 12 hours, unrefrigerated, just leave it there. It was unreal. I was like, how have you not died of salmonella yet? That's a whole other thing. But basically I moved the TV down into my bedroom. So I had my TV and then my big, like not big, like a queen bed in there, and it barely fit in the room. And Nikki and I, during quarantine, we would sit down there and we would
play Warzone.
Play Warzone. I was working on that Death Stranding critique in 2019. So I was playing a ton of that, and Nikki hated it because she was like, oh, I'm so sick of it. It was awful. Yeah, that fish smelled terrible. You have no idea. You have no idea. And she would do this thing where she would have a bowl filled with old fish oil. Not even fish oil, like oil that she cooked fish in. And then she'd pour the pot of oil into the bowl, and then she'd put a plate on top. And then the next day, she'd cook a different kind of fish, and then she'd pour that oil into another bowl, put it on top of the plate that was stacked on top of a bowl, and then put another plate on it.
She made fish oil towers.
And so she would have a tower that was like 2 feet tall of bowls of fish oil and juice, and the whole kitchen reeked. It was horrible. And we're also, I'll go into this story another time. We're also pretty sure that she committed insurance fraud and faked a break-in and stole one of our roommates' Nintendo Switch.
You can't tell me I'm here for the tea anymore. You're dramatic.
I'm just saying there's a lot of good reason to think that. We had like a roommate from hell. So it's starting to remind me of me. Yeah. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know how she doesn't notice that like we all keep accidentally putting the fish oil bowls in the sink to clean it, and she doesn't pick up on it. We would tell her, like, her English would get really bad whenever she was confronted about that kind of thing, and it was quite convenient for her. And we would try to tell her boyfriend, and he just would not acknowledge it. He's like, yeah, I'll talk with her about it. Yeah, I'll do that. Next day, she has like a 3-pound halibut sitting on the kitchen island, like at room temperature in this like early fall, late summer, reeking everything up. Yeah, it was just like, I've heard stories of like food hygiene in other countries and like food standards for cleaning and things, but like for her it was on another level. And it was honestly, it was kind of tough because of course like COVID broke out right around that time. It's why she didn't go back to China. It was because COVID broke out and they weren't accepting anybody flying back, you know? So she was stuck with us for the rest of the school year. And So, like, of course, all this news was coming out about the Chinese meat markets, and that's possibly where COVID started, from like a bat soup that was made in one of those meat markets. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, how on earth does something like that happen? At the same time, like after I read that article, I go upstairs to our kitchen in North Colorado, and I see her with like a fish that she's kept on the counter for 12 to 18 hours all day. She like cut off a sliver of it to make for breakfast, and then she just left it on the counter like all day. All day. And then she comes back home and she like makes a ton of oil, she fries it up, and then she like just leaves the oil and stuff on the counter in a bowl to like reuse later. You know, it was a kind of a culture shock a little bit, because I was like, I don't want to come in here and be like, oh no, you're gonna start cleaning our way. But it was like this is not safe. It's just not safe at all. And like Nikki said, she would start fires because she cooked with so much oil and flour, and so everything was fried. So she would have oil flying everywhere. And then one time she started an oil fire on the stove, and she started trying to like pour water in it. And if you don't know, you don't put water on an oil fire. You had to put like sugar on it, to like caramelize it and shut it down. And she would just like, she started fires on the stove and would just let them burn, because she was like, I can't get it to go out, so I'm just going to let it burn off. It's like, one time I wasn't there to see it, but one of our other roommates, he came home and he walks in the door and there's a fire raging on the stove. Not even like a flambe, like a fire in a pot. And he walked in and he looked at it, and, Winra's there and is just like cooking and doing her thing. So he just assumed that she had it under control, and he was like, okay. He just went into his bedroom. He was like, I'm going to bed. I'm not dealing with this. I'm good. I'm done. And I just, oh man, I couldn't handle it. It was the actual roommate from hell. You know, I had great luck with roommates all through college. I didn't have any issues. And then, dear God, right as COVID hit, it was unreal. Like, I've never had anything like that before, but it was so bad and so drastic. I felt like, yeah, exactly. It was like out of a sitcom. It really felt like that. It was that absurd. It's not that much if they didn't stab you. That's not hell. Well, like I said, so we'll probably, I don't know if we'll ever turn this into a stream clip, but there was a time in the winter, like COVID, I don't think had started, or maybe it was like late January, early February of 2020. So like we had heard about COVID, but it wasn't really a thing. And she was there, and she would sleep in the room with her boyfriend, and we lived in like a college house. So we would lock the doors at night because we lived in a college neighborhood. I had sunglasses and stuff stolen out of my car. So I was like, you know what, we're going to lock the doors and be secure about this. So we always lock the door at night. We made a point of it. And one morning, we came up and things were a little disheveled, and like, it was a little weird, but whatever. I just went to work. I think I was working at the bank at the time. And I get a text from my buddy Corey, who we've played games with occasionally, who also lived there. And Corey was like, hey, have you seen like my Switch? I was like, what? No, I haven't seen your Switch. I'm at work. He's like, have you seen my Switch? It's not like in the dock, and the dock is like ripped off the table that it was at. So it's like somebody grabbed it and like jerked it off, and so all the cables were hanging out. Or like if somebody grabbed the Oculus headset, they just grab it and like pull it, so all the cables fall off and the stand falls off. And he's like, yeah, it's just hanging off the shelf in my room. And I also can't find my winter coat that was on like the chair at the dining room table. I was like, I have no idea what that would be. It's like, yeah, it's strange. Anyway, I'll keep looking. Maybe I was drunk and I said it somewhere. I was like, yeah, that is really weird. And then I get home and Corey's like, yeah, so Winra says that her laptop is missing now too. Her laptop was on the table right as you walk in the front door. And she said that she got up to like go to the bathroom at 1 a.m. and she found that the front door was like cracked open and hadn't been locked. It was like still open. And we're like, what on earth? Like, I locked the door before we went to bed. Like, I locked the door because like I said, I had hundreds of dollars worth of sunglasses stolen out of my car. I wasn't about to leave the front door unlocked. So I made a point every night. We'd go up, lock the door. So I was like, so like, Winra's the last person that was out there. That's weird. And so she then goes and has the police show up like an hour or two later, and they filed a report of like a burglary and a break-in. She's like, yeah, my laptop's missing. It's like a $2,000 laptop. We're like, weird. Well, like, it was like gifted sunglasses, like Ray-Bans. It's like Nikki had got me these really nice Ray-Bans when we went to Hawaii as a Christmas present. And those were probably like $150 glasses. And then I had a pair of like, Wayfarers that I had used for like a couple of years that were like $150. So like they were probably like $300 to $500 worth of sunglasses stolen out of my car. But whatever. They also tried to steal my radio, but they couldn't get it out, so they just left. But we were like, something is weird here. So, but you know, whatever. Somebody broke in, they stole a jacket, a laptop, and a Nintendo Switch. Whatever. That's strange, but who cares? Corey wasn't that upset about it because he had pre-ordered a special edition Animal Crossing Switch, which came out like a month later or 2 months later. So he was like, it's not the big deal. I was gonna get a new Switch anyways. It's just typical Corey. He's just like, it's whatever. It's fine. Who cares? But one time, like a day or two later, I was talking with Winra and everybody in the kitchen, and we were like, yeah, that's so scary that somebody just like broke in. And Winra, it sucks that you lost your laptop. Like, that's thousands of dollars just gone. And she's like, oh no, it's fine. We have renter's insurance to protect against burglary and theft and everything. I was like, but you're not a tenant. Like, you're not a tenant though. So what do you mean? Like, you've been here a month. And she said, oh no, Ong and I set up everything like a few weeks ago. And I'm on the policy too. So if any of our stuff is stolen, we can get reimbursed. Okay. What luck? What do I know? Who cares? A week goes by. I go upstairs. Early in the morning. I woke up earlier than I normally would. Normally I would get up at like 7:38 to be at work by a 9 a.m. opening. This particular day, I had to like go to the bank to deposit a check so I'd have money to pay rent by the next day, and I could only do it, you know, at that time because I worked at a bank that I didn't have an account with. So I woke up like at I think 5, and I was headed out the door by 6 when I normally would be out the door at like 8:30. And who do I see in the living room with the same laptop that was allegedly stolen? Miss Roommate from Hell. Sitting there, like crisscross applesauce, you know, just chilling on the laptop. She sees me. Hi. Oh, you're up early? Like, tried to dismiss it. Like, yeah, I just got the new laptop. I just got it just now. She had stickers on the thing. What are the odds she gets the exact same stickers on the back of the laptop in the same spot as they were before? What are the odds of that? Not very good. Not very high. I think what happened is that she decided she wanted some like extra money. So she decided that she was going to basically fake a burglary, and to make it look believable, she said that she saw and found the door unlocked and open, which never happened. And then she went, after setting herself up on this insurance policy so that she could claim the laptop was stolen and then get the check for it. She then went and tried to make it extra believable by taking a winter coat that was on the back of the table where her laptop was allegedly sitting, and then going into Corey's room. Corey wasn't there that night. He was staying with probably with like his girlfriend or something. He just wasn't there that one night. So she went into his room and took a switch, and then filed all like the police claim, all of this stuff, to get the insurance policy and the payout. And from then on, after I left work that early morning and I saw that laptop, she stayed in that bedroom with the door closed almost 24/7, except for when she was starting fires in the kitchen. Like, we barely ever saw her after that, because I think she knew, like, they probably know what I did. And so she just stayed, minded her own business. She probably had the Switch in there and was playing it and having a great time. Did like a factory reset or something. I don't know. Maybe destroyed it to make it look more believable. Like, it was insane. Like an actual roommate from hell. So that's my story. I don't know where she ended up or anything. They were pretty. It was so weird because he was the best roommate ever. He stayed in his room. You never saw him. You never heard him. He just studied and then he went to bed. Like, you never saw him. Perfect roommate. The only issues we ever had was one time he wanted to leave. His car was parked up on the driveway. We had a driveway and then like a dirt, like rocky patch. So you could park 2 cars deep. So 4 cars total on there. But he was parked up on the driveway and he needed to leave. But he didn't want, like, he was too shy to ask us to move the car that was behind him, parking him in. So this guy did like a 50-point turn to angle himself and then drove through the front yard onto the street, leaving like the tire marks and everything in the grass. Like that was the one time where I was like, what? Why? Like, you could have just, I think we were cooking, like we were trying to make macarons on the kitchen counter. Like we were trying to make macarons for the first time, just having fun. So it was like me and the other roommates were there, but he needed to leave. And instead of just being like, hey guys, one of you is parking me in, can you just move the cart? He like spent 20 minutes angling out carefully and then drove through the front yard to get out. Like, you can't make this stuff up. But he was a great roommate, and I guess opposites attract, because his girlfriend was the world's worst roommate ever. It was awful. It was awful. So that's my story of a bad roommate. That's my tale.